Welcome to this episode of Clinic Rest. We are here with Coach John Baumann. Personally got to work with Coach Baumann when we were at Oklahoma State together. He was our throws coach and did a lot of their all of their strength and conditioning, not a lot of all of it. And we worked together there, and now he is moved on from Oklahoma State and is doing full-time strength and conditioning. And I don't know if we can say where, but I feel like if people just pay attention, they can probably figure it out.
There you go.
So, we were just talking about, I'll let you give some of your background, certification-wise,
Sure.
things like that, because you've kind of done a little bit of everything.
All right. I started out as a graduate assistant right out of my four-year school, went right to the University of Illinois and started as a strength and conditioning coach. And did that for about 4 years. So I lived on little nothing to be able to do what I wanted to do. Then I moved into what was a restricted earnings position of $16,000 to coach track and field, but at the same time I got to stay and be the track strength and conditioning coach. I don't know that you really need to have the title of conditioning for track and field.
Right. It's kind of counterintuitive with both the throwers and the runners.
Right?
Yeah.
But, in our sport, our conditioning, what we do every day, that's what every other sport does for their conditioning.
Yeah. Sure.
So we really don't need to do that. We need to just do the strength part.
For sure.
So I stayed there for another couple of years, then moved to George Mason and was the head strength coach, but also was fortunate to volunteer. That's kind of how we worked it, to be a throws coach there. And we won the national title, first team to beat Arkansas to take it away from them. And then outdoors, we were runner-up.
And they had a long streak, if I remember.
They had a huge streak,
like
you'd have to go back.
You
And
touch.
it was, an 8-10 year reign type deal. So
I'm going to ask because I don't know. George Mason is where?
Fairfax, Virginia.
Okay.
Yeah, right in the Beltway is the best way to say it. And at that time, we had 14 athletes that went on to become Olympians that year in 1996.
Wow.
Down in Atlanta. Long story short there, I hate the East Coast. I'm not an East Coast guy, so boom, went back to University of Illinois. Was fortunate enough that another track coach on the women's side, I worked for the men first, developed a great relationship with Gary Winkler, who arguably is one of the best sprint hurdle coaches in the world, and was fortunate to go back and work for him for 6 years, doing the same thing. Coaching throws, multis, but more importantly, developing strength programs for his elite athletes. And at that time, probably our claim to fame was hurdling. We had 4 girls in the NCAA final out of 8.
All Illinois?
All Illinois. One went on to become world champ. Another one now set the world indoor 60-meter hurdles record and is world champ. So, very fortunate in some of the people that I've been around and learned from. From there, moved out to Oklahoma State. We moved closer to family. Same deal. Did throws, multis, and strength training for track and field for 10 years there. Was lucky enough to recruit a young man who is top 10 in the world right now in the hammer, Nick Miller. Now I just consult with him. He's moved on, and which is fine, one less thing to do.
There you go.
And then here at KU, I'm the strength coach for track and field. So kind of a unique position where that's all I do. I have no other teams. So I service or see anywhere from 110 to 120 kids.
I don't know if you need any more teams after that.
No, you don't, because
That's plenty.
we pretty much have a bigger team than the football team.
Right.
So, that's kind of the career. Certifications, I was never a big CSCS guy until I had to do it this year.
Yeah. I got to retake it.
Yeah.
Still haven't done that.
Yeah. So,
But that
you
was
know,
a fun test to take.
well, you know, very unique story there for me. It's like, you know, you spent 20 plus years learning from everybody else. So you have your own thoughts, ideas, theories, right? And then all of a sudden you have this thrown on to you, and it's this book, and you got to regurgitate what's in this book on this piece of paper. So I spent 2 weeks and just crammed, went and did it online. Boom, we're done. Okay, I'm moving on now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The piece of paper is in place.
Yeah,
We're good.
Yeah.
You know?
And, you know, I still just do my own thing. What I believe, what holds true. I'm not saying the NSC is bad or anything like that. It's just I'm much more, what would you say, just set in my ways because I've been doing it for 25 years. So I don't use a lot of maybe their stuff. I'm not saying, like I said before, it's bad or anything. I think it's great for all the young people that are coming through. Gives them a base at least,
Right.
you know, and then from there maybe they can reach out and get with somebody that's older and been around, and, you know, we can share our thoughts and our ideas. This is what I think you should try because this is held true.
No, of course.
And, you know, kind of one of the things is, it's never sexy, but there's a lot of time hold truths that you just need to stay with. And, you know, that's kind of how I just build around everything that I do.
I mean, you
So-
say set in your ways, though. You were telling us what some of the things you're going to do next door, and it sounds like they're pretty cool. Like you've got some
It's
really
always
good
evolving,
ideas.
I
and
think.
Yeah,
it's
I mean,
ways to
I don't
put things
think, you know, there's never an end all, but there is for some people. I think you always got to keep your mind open and look at that and how that maybe fits into what you believe or what you know from your years of experience. So when you say that, you know, it's like I told you before, I believe a lot in gymnastics. I believe in bodybuilding. I believe in powerlifting. I believe in Olympic lifting. I believe in strongman training. I take a wide variety of everything and put it together into the system that I've created, and it works for me. I will share it with anyone because whoever they are, it's probably not the same environment. So it may or may not work for them. I'm not going to force it upon anyone. If they ask, here's what I do. This is what I believe. It works for me. Why does it work? Just what I said. In my system, in that way I run things. Now, if I were to take it to football, I'd probably get thrown out. But I'd probably guarantee my guys would be faster and stronger. But whatever, you know. That's why, you know, a lot of people ask that. Why don't you do that? Well, that's not my niche. My niche is track and field. I love track and field. In my opinion, they're the most athletic people out there. They can produce the most force in various degrees of lots of things. Speed, how fast, A to B, throwing, jumping, right?
Cool.
So I, you know, and I've told this to a couple of the young guys that are here with me. I believe as a strength conditioning coach that if you can learn the sport of track and field, you can be a strength coach for any sport. Why is that? We run fast. We're very explosive to throw things. We're very explosive vertically to go over bars. Oh, and then we carry this pole down a runway, we plan it, and we go vertical, right? We're also very good at applying forces horizontally into the air. It's everything that every sport does. The biggest thing I think that a lot of young strength coaches miss, and I'm toying with it right now with my young guy Jacob, is they don't understand the energy systems. That's the biggest thing in track and field. What you do from day to day, and this is get a little philosophical, but you got to always be prepared to charge the battery. So who drove down? What car?
My Tundra.
Okay, so that Tundra's got a battery. Still got an alternator
I hope so.
and a starter, right?
Yeah.
So you turn that, starts it up. What's the alternator do? Recharges the battery. right?
Mm-hmm.
Pull that out, what happens? Nothing. Nothing gonna happen. So from day to day, what we do in track and field is Monday, what do we do that's gonna help Tuesday? What are we gonna do that's gonna help Wednesday? So in other sports, what do? They run the shit out of people. They have big collisions. They do the same movements, same planes over and over and over. So when you look at those other sports, at least when I do, what are they doing from day to day to keep recharging that battery so that kid can keep going? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Joel was a trainer in track and field. You see a wide variety of injuries. What do you see in football now that you're a football guy? A lot of the same.
Yeah, it just depends where it's located.
But pretty much the same,
Yeah.
right? Because they're doing the same shit. But if they did other things, you wouldn't see even that. So that's how I kind of view that. Anyway, back to certifications. I'm USA weightlifting, but I got to redo that because you can't get grandfathered in. I mean, I used to teach the course, that
All about
whatever.
the dollars.
Yeah.
I just got an email that mine expired.
Yeah.
Here's $85. Thank you.
So CrossFit, went to one of the very first ones in Colorado Springs.
That's cool.
You said
Not
90.
Colorado Springs, in Greeley, no, Golden,
Oh,
Okay.
wow, nice.
in Golden at the State Patrol office. It was
Wow.
crazy.
Wow.
Nice.
You said that was 94?
94-ish, yeah. So,
Yeah, that is-
and now look how that thing is
Oh,
blowing
boy.
up, right? Cash cow, baby.
Yeah.
Met Chris Summers. Summer.
Yeah, we were chatting about that earlier.
Right.
Gymnastic
He
bodies.
would have been sitting right here with me, and we're in the back talking, and somebody's up there, probably Mike Bergner talking, and we're sharing ideas that way. And then level 1 instructor in track and field, and then I'm certified in level 2 everything but the round distance. So pretty much just a big scope of everything. But I think that's how you become a better coach,
For sure.
is learning other events and stepping out of your box, If you're not good at something, go seek somebody that is. Find them and pick their brain and, steal everything they have. And then you obviously become better,
Sure.
right? And then give back if you can. Yeah.
I don't want to put words
So-
in your mouth, but I know. I'm pretty sure you're a big proponent, multi-sport athlete.
Love it.
I just asking because we've been really taking a look at what we were doing in our sports performance center at UWL, and we're moving towards an Exos
Mm-hmm.
model. Just again, moving everything. And you had mentioned with track. What do you do a lot of lateral stuff with them?
Yeah.
Just because, of all the things you mentioned, there's not really anything on the track that involves a ton of lateral movement in general, but just again addressing the whole athlete as a strength coach.
Yep.
And trying to make that better and
Yeah, so in track and field, everything's pretty much straightforward.
right.
So we don't do a lot of stuff going backwards or laterally. So all of our fall training, they're doing monster walks, they're doing lateral walks.
Okay.
They're doing backward walking, and we have an incline hill
Yep.
at KU football.
Yep.
So we use that to the point where the football guys came out, what the hell is going on, We'll pull sleds up it backwards for hamstring work. We'll go lateral. We'll do karaoke.
Okay.
We're doing all the lateral stuff that you would do in football,
Yep.
track and field. It helps with glute, hamstring, ligaments around the knee,
Mobility.
Yeah.
in the ankles, right? And we talked about that briefly before. Everything from the ground, and I do mean from the foot up, we're working, especially in the fall, but all year round. I'm a huge believer that if that ankle locks up, you're screwed.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't care what sport it is, but once that locks up, it's just like Kyle said, when you squat and that femur wants to go forward, well, if that ankle's locked up, you're fucked. everything just goes to shit, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
we do a ton of it.
Okay.
We use slide boards,
Yep.
our
No?
little
Slider.
tools, bands, to the point where the track kids, and imagine, maybe our biggest quarter miler maybe weighs 185, and they can do bigger, stronger bands than any of the football linemen going sideways.
Mm-hmm.
That's how strong their legs can get. But you got to keep doing it,
Sure.
right? Yeah, it's not, bring them in and squat the piss out of them and they get huge. It's building that whole holistic thing
Right.
that everything ties in together so it's always firing. That's the whole key.
And then that continues to some degree into their actual season? Just
Yes.
to keep everything
Yeah.
there, but
Yeah.
maybe not to the same extent with heavy sled poles or?
Yeah, the sled stuff comes out. I mean, I think, and I've talked to several coaches now about this, but a lot of strength coaches out there, they don't have the background as a track coach.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them, their egos are too big to maybe go to level 1 or even level 2 school to get better knowledge of it. But they all keep training the hamstring as season comes along. Well, I don't need a doctorate degree and I don't need a master's degree to understand that every time you take a step, or more importantly, when you run hard and you sprint hard and you jump hard, that hamstring does work. And how many pounds of pressure is applied depends on the body weight. But it's usually in the excess of 8 to 10 times.
Mm-hmm.
So why am I going to bring a kid in, like you just asked, closer to the season, and we're going to do RDLs, we're going to do hamstring curls, all this stuff that's just going to tighten stuff up more and more, right? And in track and field, probably the biggest thing that kills kids is the anterior rotation at the hip.
Oh, yes. That
So
kills
we're not going to compound this problem. So we pull all of that out because we did that when they're doing lesser degree of running or jumping in the fall. So yes, we pull it out and we shift everything. And we try to do more along the lines of, to keep those strength levels high, more ballistic training. Jump squats, split squats, and sometimes depending on it, but usually the females need to tighten up more because they're already too elastic. We do a lot more one-legged work. Some people call it the Bulgarian, some people call it a split squat. But then we also do a rear elevated. To me, that means the box is higher, the foot is higher.
Yeah.
So there's even less extension and flexion moving down with dumbbells to do the movement. So the quad's getting stronger. But more importantly, so is the hip.
Right. You gotta-
So,
that
we
sucker
move
in line.
away from that and we try to do it more specifically, like I said, and get away from the traditional hamstring things. So,
Awesome.
and body weight movements, we're huge on that here. Coach Mike's group, the distance
Yeah.
coach, we've reduced his stress fracture rate considerably.
Nice.
So almost to the point where maybe there's only 2 or 3.
And you're never gonna probably get rid
You're,
of that, unfortunately.
God, if I could get 100%, they need to give me a bonus.
Yeah, if we could figure that out, we'd both be retired by now.
So, learning to reduce that injury rate in the different groups. So, for me, there's 6 coaches. So there's 6 different bosses and they all train different. So it's learning how to manipulate the system to fit what they do. And then that just goes back to what I said before. There's too many strength coaches that haven't learned the sport, and especially the energy system from a day-to-day, what's being done. And then being able to have, the fancy word now is undulating. Well, I just call it, I got A, B, C, D workout. Depending on what you did today, we're going to do this workout. I did hills. Whatever. Well, we're probably just going to concentrate more on the upper body And if it's a dude, they're gonna do a lot of hanging stuff to stretch out their pelvis. The girls, they're gonna do tons of abs, they're gonna hang, and they may squat a little bit because they're so elastic. We need to tighten that shit up. So, yeah, it's just learning how to do that.
I've been asking all
great,
the questions,
I know.
so if you guys got anything,
I'm
feel
just
free to
soaking
jump
it
in.
all in.
I
It's
am
good
too.
information.
Writing that stuff
Yeah.
down.
I was gonna ask about the injury prevention, but you kinda went there.
Okay,
I could totally see that.
you know, that's always evolving though.
And we're trying to take that same thing and just put it into their training.
Yeah.
Because we don't need to have an extra 30-minute session of
Exactly.
corrective exercises.
Exactly. So it goes back to, for me, you know, some coaches are great about getting me a daily or a weekly or bi-weekly. This is what I'm gonna do.
Coach Pate just
He's still great.
whole year,
Yeah.
already mapped out. It's
Oh,
incredible.
wow.
He's
You know, and some aren't. So I rely a lot on the kids, and like I said, I have different workouts. I don't have anything here, but
Would you do it so if they happen at days that were similar, like would you do the same workout? Like
it always matches up.
Okay.
My theory, or my biggest pet peeve is mixed parameters, mixed result, injured kid. So whatever parameters they're doing, whatever it is, in the field, in the pit, on the hill, that's what you're doing in the weight room. Somehow, some way, those are gonna match up, so everything goes together. And so then the next day goes better, right? And so,
So match up in terms of intensity or movement
more energy
pattern?
system,
Energy system.
because, you know, movement pattern in track and field, almost every event is cyclic. So
Yeah.
we need to do sometimes acyclic stuff to get out of that lateral movement.
Instead of just feeding it in and
Yeah, you don't wanna feed the dragon, right? That thing's gonna blow up, right?
Sure.
So, yeah, sometimes it's just, okay, we're gonna get completely out of anything we've done here to let that body rest. You know, you don't hear it a lot, I don't know, maybe you guys do, but I don't. In this field, now that I'm in it more, they don't talk a lot as strength coaches about the cellular and tissue level. What are we doing at that level in this room, right? All they want to do is push big weights and big numbers, and it's not about that. You know, I always go back to Mark Ripito.
Yep.
You guys know him?
Yep.
So he's a good friend of mine, and he came to one of our level ones, and we also do a strength training thing for that. And he was so intrigued that a track person would be able to do this, right? But, you know, the biggest thing that I think we both kind of agreed on was the strength part, meaning, you know, in powerlifting, which is what he really kind of pushes, you know, absolute strength, time is not a factor, right? It doesn't matter. You grind that shit out,
Right.
right? Well, what event do we do that?
Right.
We don't. What sport do you do that?
Then you don't really-
Powerlifting.
Powerlifting.
Right?
You
right,
can make an
right.
argument for linemen, but even then, that's a
But even
really
then,
crappy argument.
You know, so when you look at those things, you got to be very cognizant of what really are you trying to do, you know? And that's what I mean, get down to the cellular and the tissue level. How are you going to help that kid recover to come back for tomorrow? You know, like this weekend we hosted a lot of teams here at the region and a lot of strength coaches. That's what they were asking my young guys. What's his system like? Well, they're still trying to learn it. But, you know, for LAC here, you know, it undulates every week and it's built more on recovery. In the fall, it's built on getting strong, but then it's built on recovery. And how we do that, there's many different ways. But I'm just a firm believer. I can do a 2-day, 3-day, 4-day, 5-day workout, and I got everything color coded so it makes sense to the kids. They know what they're doing, and they can put that mental thing into the work, you know, also. Just by the color codes, they know what's going to happen. You know, some days it's green. Green, what is green? green's energy. So when they come in, they may body build today, right? And then another day there's red and yellow. Yellow's acceleration, red is static. When they see orange, it's time to go. It's very explosive. So the days are there depending on what they do outside of the room. You know, and I'm blessed that I can just leave the room and go to a practice and say, "What'd you do today?" Or I can stand there and watch, and then 30 minutes later they're coming in the room with me. Boom, I can change. You know, so if they did, you know, heavy sled pulls or pushes, probably not going to squat today because they already did.
Right.
Right?
Not just doing it because it's written on the piece of paper.
Yeah. Versus, you know, you could go to almost any football weight room. Well, even though they push sled, we're going to squat today. Shit, you just did that. Why are you doing it again? It doesn't make sense to me. So.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So.
How do you like that one?
Yeah.
Tell we've been in the sun today.
So, I guess kind of getting on the periodization cycles throughout your track and field at this level has got to be a little bit different than football where you don't have people leaving early and stuff. So do you incorporate more of like a multi-year plan for some of the athletes? And
Yeah, every year, everything's set out on a full year thing. Here's the plan, but then within that plan, it can always change.
Right.
But at least I'm always ready for something that they're gonna come. Like Coach Hayes is great. He's our vertical jumps guy. We're on the same page. I mean, there's days where kids come in and they just say what they did, and I say, well, we should do this, and Coach, yeah, that's what Coach said. You know, we're just on that page. And then, you know, with a couple other coaches, maybe not so much. So I got to really watch what I'm doing there. Sometimes it just needs to be real linear, and then other times it just waves along. Just depends on where they are.
that's what I was going to ask. So with like freshmen coming in, you know, who maybe lack a little bit of the.
Yeah, you know, freshmen.
Who knows?
What we here, I've only been here a year, but what I implemented right away was that they come in and they were with me for almost 6 weeks just learning. And it was body weight stuff and it was med balls. And that was it. The older kids then came into the fold and then we started doing stuff because they kind of knew the lifts. But at the same time, we separate them out. So, you know, here's the young ones, here's the older. So there's 2 different workouts going on, and you're always going to get, well, how come they're doing this and I'm doing it? Because of this.
Yeah.
Once you get to be a big person, you'll move on. Yeah.
Do you see that with some of the different like level of athletes too? I mean, you
Oh,
probably
yeah.
get a huge spectrum
Yeah.
here. You know, still a high level track team, but you're gonna have the ones that are gonna go on to compete at an Olympic level.
Yeah.
And the ones that are gonna work to try and make the conference meet.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. That's always going to happen.
Is that something you adjust a lot for, or
A ton.
Okay.
A ton. You know, every week everybody has a new sheet. And within that, I have the ability to just get my pen and go, we're not doing this, we're doing this, right? And as things go, you start to learn the kids. So I'm just going to give an example. The 2 Jamaican boys that we have on the 4x4, they started to get pretty big and bulky because they tend to do that. And then, boom, we took them off, do more body weight exercises, body weight dropped, lean body mass way down. Oh, they're running 45, 46 now. It was a no-brainer, you know?
That's a first.
We'll edit that out.
So you also have to be aware of the kids that you're training because different body types, you're going to have to change mid-season.
Yeah.
You know, once we get around conference time, some of those kids, they can't lift anymore. They need to drop and start dropping body weight, you know. You were here probably, were they doing DEXs when you were here?
No.
No.
We have bod pod.
Okay, we got rid of that. We do DEXs here now. And,
Good
you know,
upgrade.
You and everybody else that's got the money to do
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
we just had awesome results. I mean, we were having girls gaining 3, 4 pounds of lean body mass and dropping 3 to 4.
Mhm.
But, we were having guys gaining 4 and 5 and dropping well under 8%. Well, obviously they're doing something right in the weight room,
Right.
but is it transferring to the track?
Right.
And some of it wasn't, so boom, all right, coach, we're gonna switch this around because this isn't working. Well, how's that gonna work? Just have a little faith, a little trust, it'll come around, and it has. In the fall, probably the biggest thing that for me personally, it was like, okay, those 4 or 5 guys we tested in the fall off of 300 times, we were like, we got like 5 guys here that can go 45 point. But it wasn't showing up, right? They weren't transferring the stuff from the weight room to the track. But once we started getting out of that and transitioning more into body weight type things or body weight ballistic movements, like on the grass, boom, time started dropping. So we hit it, and now, they're top 5, 7 in the country in the 4x4. So, as a strength coach, you still got to look at many factors where, as you guys know, a lot of it's cookie cutter.
Mm-hmm.
In track and field, you can't be a cookie cutter guy. It doesn't work.
We were commenting on that when the
Yeah.
4x4 athletes were walking by us. We were right next to them, and you saw all kinds of different body types.
Yep.
It's
I mean, we were just
unbelievable.
going,
Yeah.
how are all these people in the same event group? They were drastically different.
Yeah, yep. And you got to find the body type and then train that, Yeah, versus the girls, we've lifted heavy almost all the way up to this, where a lot of people have pulled them out. But to keep their hormone levels high, you got to lift women. Otherwise, it'll drop through the roof. Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Practical.
Yeah.
Yeah, very practical.
Yeah, it's not written. Learn that only
I can
by
see where
time.
that experience comes into place.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah. Yep.
You touched on Mark Rippetoe. What are
Yeah.
some of your other bigger mentors that you've kind of adopted? I know you and I have talked about this some, and even back to the days when you'd be at conferences and Gray Cook and all those guys were there with you and everything.
When I first got in, I was fortunate to meet Mike Gattone and Roger Nielsen, both of them world team and Olympic team weightlifting coaches. That's how I got into that sport. I used to drive to Chicago or Peoria every weekend and either lift or watch what was going on. When we went to Sayre Park in Chicago on a Saturday, it was nothing to see 5 or 6 current or past Olympians in the room training. So you got to watch it all, right?
Mhm.
But more importantly, you got to listen to Roger coach. And same with Mike when he was in Peoria. Jeff Macy is Oregon State director of weightlifting or strength and conditioning. Was an Olympian that was also in Peoria and started at Bradley. Al Vermeil from the Bulls. I used to go hang with Al. And then Eric, his longtime assistant, also is now the director at Wisconsin.
Yep. One of our football coaches, really good friends with them.
Yeah.
Yep. One of our buddies is at Wisconsin now.
That would be it probably from the Olympic weightlifting side. Powerlifting, obviously Rip, another guy that he works with now is Reynolds, Mark Reynolds.
Okay.
He had probably one of, or arguably the strongest raw gyms in the U.S. over in Missouri in Springfield, and just recently sold it. Louis Simmons, when I was a young coach, I used to have almost a weekly visit on the phone with Louis,
Wow.
and just take certain things that I liked that fit in what I wanted to do. Everybody has their argument, this, that, and the other. The guy's very, very intelligent, and you just need to listen and take the things that you like, And too many people, they think it's an end all to everything. And that's not the case.
Big frustration of mine.
Yeah.
Just listen to it. You
Yeah.
don't have to like all of it, just listen
Yeah,
to it.
yeah. From gymnastics, I was blessed to have, just great gymnastic coaches at the University of Illinois.
Yeah.
The men's team were many-time national champs,
Okay.
so I could always go over and see Yoshi and just hang out with him, and eventually they just gave me a key to the room so we could bring our team in there in the morning, and we trained our women's team all the time in there. Yeah. So that would be that.
That's an impressive list of names.
Track and field, man, it's huge.
I can't believe that.
Cliff Revelto's probably one of my bigger multi-event mentors, along with Boo Schneckslider, and Boo speaks all the time. Gary Winkler obviously is my sprint hurdle guy. Yeah, I worked for him even before I worked for him when I was at the university. He was always there. Dan Paff, who's out at Altus.
Okay.
Another one. Vern Gambetta, Vern's
Yeah.
a longtime friend. I'm going to go to his GAIN conference this weekend,
Okay.
or in 2 weeks. I know I'm missing tons of guys, but just been very fortunate to be in the right place at the right time and be able to listen to people far smarter than I am, and take their knowledge and just soak it in, and like I said, just develop the system that I think works, and it works how I understand it. It's sometimes you get so many people that all they want to do is read, and they forget about the practical side of it or the clinic side. You have to be in that, because the book isn't going to tell you everything. So yeah, that's a few of them.
Yeah.
Quite a list.
You guys have any more? I got one more if nobody
Go
else
for
got. Just like looking at like younger athletes, like this is a very broad question, like something that you see like missing with them early, other than they should be a multi-sport athlete in terms of like training. Is how young is too young? What should it focus on? I think I probably got an idea based on how our conversation's already gone, but
yeah, I think too many people train them, especially in the weight room, too young. I think kids need to play. They need to learn movement and do many games, because that also is a problem-solving skill, which will help them later in life from a mental standpoint if they do go into sport. It also helps them understand their bodies. I think the biggest thing now with all the performance centers is they get too specific too fast. Kids don't learn really how to, let's say if they're moving left, how to lower their body, their center, stop and move to the right. You got a guy constantly telling them this is what you need to do, but they can't feel it.
right.
So when you talk to athletes, what do you feel? I don't know. Yeah, because they're doing all the thinking for them.
What am I supposed to feel? Tell me.
Yeah. So I think maybe at a younger age, they just need to bring them in and let them play.
I've seen some of those ones, just little short Facebook videos of like they're running basically back and forth shuttles, but they're playing tic-tac-toe at the end.
Yeah.
And just having to go, and they're trying to be quick and react, but they also gotta.
I mean, you don't see kids in your neighborhood now playing kick the can. Did you guys ever play that?
Yeah.
Right?
I think
Yeah, you know what it is. huh?
We played a bunch of other stuff. We were lucky
but,
to have a park across the street.
things like that, and oh shit, it's almost dark, man. And they're still out there playing it.
Yeah.
You don't see that now. Not at all. You don't see kids playing pickup. Yeah.
We
Pickup
played a version
baseball.
of rugby. Smear the insert in unappropriate word here.
Yeah. So I think they need to do that. I think more kids need to play more sports. And then once they go to college, they can be more specific of what they really want to do, and that career really takes off. I mean, you can go and look, it stood the test of time. You can go with the pro football players more than anybody. Who are the ones that last? It's the guys that were three-sport guys.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the big thing right now, everybody's putting on Facebook, Twitter, you name any social media is, what football players are doing track right now? holy crap, the list is huge. Why? Ohio State, because they pubbed it so hard,
Yeah.
right? But yet, there are how many NCAA schools, Division I, they are not going to do track. They're going to
They
only
won't
do
let 'em,
football,
yeah.
whether it's the head coach or the head football strength coach. You know what? Not everybody knows everything. Learn from everybody.
Sure.
If you know, I mean, if that guy over there in that room can make my kid faster, I want that guy doing it, right?
Makes sense.
But I guess as the field has moved, there's too many egos now,
Yeah, it's hard to check that at the door.
you know? And that's the problem. If you're really into the athletics, it's about the kid, it's not about you. Then you shouldn't have got in it. Yeah, it's got to be about the kid. How can I help them? So,
Sounds good. On to the questions?
Yeah, the only other one I could
Go
think
for
of,
it.
same kind of question, but for young strength coaches coming into the field, what kind of advice would you have for them? We work a lot with undergraduate exercise science, strength conditioning students who starting to venture out.
given our current field, kind of how it is, I tell my two young guys that I'm working with, I said, you got to find a niche. That's what this field is about right now.
Yeah.
You got to have a niche. If you don't want to do football, then become the best or the greatest Olympic sport strength guy. Learn every sport and become great at it, but really hone in on something and become just so damn good at that somebody go, I want that guy. Where, if you don't want to be in football, you better be damn good.
Yeah.
If you're a football guy and that's your heart and that's where you are, same thing though. You got to become, a great speed guy.
Niche within football, yeah.
A great lateral movement guy, a great programmer, a great Olympic technician. How can you take, athlete A and B and C and D and get them all, the big thing now is that they all clean 300. Back, man, when I was in college, shit, they were everywhere. Now, man, strength guys work their asses off to get a 300-pound clean in football. That doesn't make sense to me. How come now it's so hard when 20-odd years ago, and they were everywhere. They were better athletes. I think that's it. You just got to find that niche. I really do. Depending on the football program that you go to, there's some guys where the 225 thing, that means the world, right? So learn how to train it. So when you go in to talk to somebody, you can explain what you do and how well you do it, right? Or if, that coach is looking for somebody to come in and do the Olympic side and you're great at making kids power clean, hang clean, well over 300, get after it. Yeah. But I think the young guys, they need to find a niche and get great at it. Yeah. Yeah. I
like that one.
I think,
I think they can make.
I don't know, maybe it's me, but programming is easy, but learning how to make changes on the fly, there's not enough of that.
The art versus science.
There you go.
Part of it, yeah.
Coaching is an art. It's not cookie cutter. And I think some of our younger guys, when they get into these programs and stuff, that they, I got a program. Yes, but you also need to learn to be able to change on a dime. Because every day you come in, you can't tell me that those kids are going to be 100% and they can do your plan. It just doesn't work that way. And if it does, they're doing something they're not supposed to be doing. Yeah. So hopefully that helped.
Yeah,
or
yeah,
answered
yeah,
it.
yeah, definitely.
What recommendations do you have for just your everyday, your average person in terms of just if they were wanting to, become more fit or strong or just better fitness in general?
Seek out people. of the areas maybe they're not understanding and go and sit with them and learn or pick their brain. Yeah. I don't think that happens enough in our field either, strength and conditioning. Here again, it always goes back to the ego thing, I think, that, when I was young, the one thing that I was very fortunate to do is meet some of those mentors that I told you, but we would have I wouldn't call it a conference, but like a seminar or a symposium where certain guys were brought in, and the first rule was, doors locked, drop your pants, let the information go, whatever happens in this room stays in this room. So there were no insecurities, right? So it wasn't like now, when you walk into an NSCA, it's like, okay, I got the biggest dick in here, so none of you guys, you can't hang with me. You know what I mean? That's the feel out there versus just drop your pants, let the information go. I mean, I've done it. I've called guys and emailed some of the guys after I went to my first one that in January. I shit you not, it took 3 months to get a hold of one guy. And the only reason I think he emailed me back is because I got a hold of another friend and said, hey, this dude's dropping your name. Are you guys buddies? Because I've been emailing him. And boom, all of a sudden I got an email within 10 minutes.
Nice.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you're going to do it, share it.
Right.
So just like you said, somebody that wants to know, go out there and find people that are going to share. The people that, don't really want to, do you really want to be with them?
Right.
Did that
Yeah, that's good.
answer it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough in the fitness world just because of the gyms and things like that. A lot of the gyms, this is what we do here, right? It's all kind of, we're not stepping out of this box, stay in here. So everybody's doing the same thing. Versus, if you're just a, weekend warrior, go find somebody. A lot of times those people just sit down and have a coffee with you, have a beer, whatever. They'll shoot the shit and give you more information than you ever wanted.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I always tell my young guys that when we're out somewhere, go find somebody. You're going to learn more on that napkin that you get at the end of the night than you ever will at a conference. And it's the truth. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now on to the Olympic press ones, or you got another one?
No,
You're kind of notorious for that sometimes, so I just want to double check.
like to learn.
Yeah. So you kind of heard these before in the other one, but we'll roll through them again. Something you believe that others may not.
Karma.
That's the first. I like it though.
Yeah.
That's the
Karma.
first for that one.
I really believe in karma. Yep.
Good.
Enough said with that
Simple
one.
and easy, yeah. Top 3 take-home tips or things that you would, ask for people to do that
Okay.
are listening.
I'm a huge proponent of massage, so Kyle,
Yeah.
if you can't afford it, you at least try to work it in your budget, especially if you're an athlete and you're trying to do something and move farther ahead, because most people, we're shitty at recovery. It doesn't matter if it's an athlete or a normal person, how many people drink X amount of coffee, which I don't anymore. I'm a
Okay.
tea guy. Got rid
Alright.
of that, Joel. The diuretic thing going on and lack of water and, go get a massage. Number 2, get a pedi. Let somebody rub your feet, man. It feels great. Let them do that,
Alright.
You don't got to do it all the time, but,
I
once
did
a
a
month.
reflexology, although I don't know if it
Same,
was,
kind of,
but when I was over in India.
yeah, kind of
First
same
time ever.
thing.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And to back up what Kyle said, more people need to laugh. Go out with your friends, go out with your buddies. You don't got to get drunk all the time, but go out and have fun. I tell the athletes a lot here, when we're getting ready for big meets, okay, just go do something for you. Do something fun. Go laugh. Go find some friends. Call a buddy you haven't for a long time. I bet you'll laugh. Just enjoy it. Yeah.
What's an influential purchase you have for $100 or less?
My super sliders.
There you go. bet you get a bunch of those for $100 too.
Yeah, no,
You can, man. Lowe's, Walmart, Home Depot.
Oh, they're not even like a perform better type thing, huh?
Hell
They're
no.
just for moving
Moving
furniture. Okay.
Moving
Even
furniture.
better. I can find these on Amazon. I'm almost
Overtime
positive.
Yeah. You can use them for anything. Plank position, right? Hamstring work, squat work, shoulder mobility work on the wall.
Moving
Yeah.
a fridge, probably. Moving a fridge.
Moving a fridge,
Yeah,
moving a sofa.
redoing your weight room if you need to. Yeah.
Yeah. Making your man cave better.
There you go. Any good books? We used to talk books a whole bunch,
Yeah,
so.
man.
Ripto's book, probably, right?
Every one of Rip's books.
There you go.
Yeah, the Starting Strength series, that's what I would say there with Rip. Kind of my go-to authors. How about that?
Sure.
Frank Dick, Bompa, Medvedev, Roman.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
nice.
Then what information would you tell yourself in your training or education if you could go back?
Oh, wow.
Maybe when you started? I think we're
When-
going to interrupt you here, but
No,
it's all right.
it would have been back when
So, Coach Vic?
I first started to take better notes of the things that I learned versus, now it's like, I tell a lot of guys, it's like, most of us have been in the field for 25 years or a bit more. We've probably forgot more than most people have learned. And we should have wrote it down.
For sure.
So the only way for us to get that information again going is to sit and have a conversation in the database. It starts to roll. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep. That it?
That's it.
All right.
Once you get back
Good
to
stuff.
it.
Yeah. All
Thank
right,
you,
guys.
sir.
Yeah,
Yep,
thank you very much. Nice meeting you.
All right.
Thanks for
You
chatting.
guys
Appreciate
just
it.
stay in here.
Thank you for watching this episode of Clinically Pressed. If you want to go check out our full site at clinicallypressed.com, we'll have links to all our episodes, our insights, and coming soon, CP shorts. Also, while you're there, we are starting to offer online courses, with our first one being Dr. Jacob's Weight Loss 101, so check that out. You can find us at any podcast outlet and YouTube. While you're there, if you could give us a thumbs up or a rating, that would be great. We've heard it really helps. Also, check out our blog at totalathletictherapy.com, where you can sign up for our free weekly newsletter that summarizes all of our posts, plus provides you with some other extras. Thank you again for listening, and we hope to see you again soon.